this whole chapter was about basically running a business, right? That's kind of what we were looking at and making the decisions from a business perspective, a little bit more. So in number 10, the first thing we had to do was count the money in our cash register, right? That's basically what number 10 is telling us. And then you had to figure out if you were short or over. Okay, so a cashier began the day with $140 change. His cash register totals were $4,500 cash received and $389 cash paid out. There was $4,278.15 cash in the register. How much was the cash over or short? Okay, so what do I gotta do?
I think the 140 plus the, we on time?
Yeah.
Alright. The 140 plus the 4,529 and minus 389, and then you find the difference between the.
Okay, so which one do you have to do in order to know if you're short or over? Do you do the grand total or do you do what's in your thing first? Or I mean, what's left in it?
Change what's left in cash received, because that's how much is in.
Okay, so do you do that minus what's left in the cash register, or do you do what was in the cash register minus what you think you should have?
I do the last one.
I do.
Okay, but you just gotta know, you can kind of do it either way, you just gotta know then if you're over or if you're short. Okay? Because this isn't, I don't think, anything. Sorry, I'm kind of talking to myself here. Alright. I don't have these problems evidently, unless Bunker's lost my sheet. So, do you want to see the math? If you wanted to, as cash short, you were short $1.70. Okay. 13 was the one on the quiz where you had to fill out that chart. You'll have to fill out another chart. Remember the difference between the credits and the debits, right? When we're talking about credits, again, we're talking about actually gaining more stuff. So our bill actually goes what? It goes up. Unless we have a what? What would make our bill go down? A payment? What else?
Discount.
A discount?
What is that invoice?
What's that?
It's the sheet that's.
An invoice for this would look something like on page.
It shows like the order.
Yeah.
So it's like a check number or like a receipt.
Yeah, kind of. On page 420 would be an invoice, but what we're talking about in this case would be something like 422. You'd have to fill out that whole thing. Okay? So do you want to go through the chart on the board? Anybody want to see that? So again, basically, we're bringing our balance forward. Again, we're talking about this is our kind of bill, right? This is what we owe that bigger company, okay? So obviously we still owe $3,400. Then it says on April 7th, an invoice number 348 for $4,200. So we're going to add that on it. And then we made a payment, so we would subtract. We had a credit memo, so we would subtract. And then the invoice again for some more products, so we would add that together. So if you wanted to do that one, the grand total was $6,027.60. So you just gotta remember, like we said, anything that we add product, we're gonna add to our bill. Anything that we make a payment or a debit payment, discount or a rebate maybe, or we send it back, right? That's what they're talking about by a credit memo. Okay, everybody okay with that? All right, 15 goes back to Johnson's counting problems, right? So again, you got to know how many months are in, or how many days are in each month. And again, you go by the knuckles, right? The high knuckles are 31. And remember, back to back when you put them together. So you got back to back 31s. And then the lower ones are usually what? 30. Except for February. Okay? So it says, this was about cash and trade discounts. So what does it mean when they give us 210, 120, and 60?
First number is the discount, second number is the days.
Yeah, so if I pay within the first 10 days, I get how much discount?
1%.
2%, right?
Oh, 15.
Oh, I was looking at 4.
Sorry, oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, I did 15. I did 15 because I thought trying to figure out the dates were a little harder, I think. And then what does N60 mean?
It's just due.
It's due in 60 days, right? Okay, if we go over that 60 days, what happens?
Higher fee.
Yeah, then we'd have to pay some kind of interest or something on our. Okay, so, November 6th was our date. Do we count November 6th? No.
No.
Right? You don't count that first date. So, from the 6th to the 23rd, which discount did we get? How many days
Is that
between?
Fraction,
You got 1%.
You got 1%, right?
like a percentage and then the dates,
Yeah.
like 2%.
So if you do
In
it
the
within
first 10 days,
2%.
you get 2% off. In the first 20 days, you get 1% off. So they're encouraging you to pay early.
Well, they're still making profit no matter what.
Pretty much, probably. So, when we figured out that we get our second percentage off, we do 0.01 times the grand total, which was 3410. And then we take that and subtract it off, right? Anybody need to see the math? Okay. 16 up on the top. A straw hat has a list price of $26 and is offered at a 45% trade discount. A trade discount is just basically the same thing as saying what? Discount, right? It's a sale, right? And we kind of talked about that at the end of, didn't we talk about winter coats the other day or something? Because I just got something from Columbia that says they're giving off, what, 50% off coats right now.
Did you just get the orange one and then they sent that to you?
No, I got the orange one last year.
That orange one's good.
Okay, so, trade discount is just that. So what are we doing for 16? And then subtract your answer out, right? And again, make sure that you understand what the vocabulary means, right? The trade discount means what? The amount of discount. The invoice price is what we're going to actually pay. Okay? In 17, then we had a couple different things to do, which series trade discounts. This was kind of one of the sections that was a little bit harder. In the first one in 17, it says a box of party streamers has a list price of $15.70. The series discount offered is $20, $15, and 5%. What is the invoice price of the box of streamers? So remember, in this one, I'm just going to take 20% of my original. Then I do like a regular discount. I get my new answer, and then I do 15%. Do that whole process again, and then I do 5%. Okay? And then our grand total is whatever is at the end. Do you need to see the math? Then for 18, it says, what are the invoice price and single discount equivalents written as percents for a series discount of? So this is where you had the three options. Remember those three options?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you don't remember the three options, this is on page, not that page, this was the one that I didn't hit, yeah. 434, 435 basically. Okay, so you had single discount equivalents. Remember you had the first one was the percent method, then you had the table method, and then the complement method. So basically they don't tell you which one you can do, so you can pick any of those. Okay, so do you need to go over any of those methods?
Yes.
Okay, so if we do the percent method, we're going to do what? Do you remember?
I don't know, I hear that one.
100 minus.
There you go. So what are my percents in this one?
10, 15,
20, 10, 15?
20. Yeah.
Okay. So if I'm going to do the percent discount, I'm going to take 100 minus 20, and I get 80%. Right? And then I do 80% of whatever we're talking about. So what was the number? What was the product or whatever?
It said single discount. They might give
Oh, they didn't do, oh, okay. So, then we would do this, and then, what else we gotta do? Then we would take 10% of that, right? 10% of that grand total. Okay? Everybody understand what I'm saying there? So it's kinda hard without a number, right?
You gotta
See,
wait.
Oh, no, this is okay. We take this, and then we do what?
Take 10% of 80.
So then you take 10% of 80, and you get what? 8. So then we subtract that and we get 72, right? And then we're gonna take 15% of 72, which would be,
Does it matter what order it goes?
what do you mean?
10.8.
Say it one more time.
10.8.
10.8. What do you mean the order?
Like, will it all equal the same if you take like 10% of 100 and then take 20?
No, I think you gotta go in the order that they give you.
No, that's wrong.
But it's 10, 15, and 20.
10, 15, okay. Well, we'll see then. Let's see if it works.
Alright.
10 minus 8 is 2, 1, 7 minus 1 is what?
6.
61.2? I don't think that was it. Yeah, it is. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So again, basically though, you're just taking the first one and subtracting, taking the percentage of that answer, taking that answer and subtracting, and then this is now. So 61.2% is what?
Be your,
The,
single discount.
no, the invoice price.
Yeah, this would be to find my invoice price. So what's my single discount?
38.8.
So I'm gonna take 100% minus whatever we get in this. And so then we do our math, and what'd you say, 38 something?
0.8.
38.8% is my single equivalent. So again, if we would have these numbers roll over more than once, or we'd use those numbers year in and year out, then we would write this single percentage equivalent down, and we wouldn't have to do that math every single time. So then if somebody said, well, what's my equivalent, then we're going to have, I don't know, $150, then you would use this to figure out the discount. You would use this 61.2 to find, like Carson said, the invoice amount. So that would tell you exactly what you're going to do. Pay. This one would tell you your discount, and then you would have to subtract it to get your payment. Okay? So basically, you could use this process to figure out whatever your one is.
The opposite. So 13.8.
Then in the table one was the easiest. Remember that? You just had to basically find the combination that worked, or that they gave you. Say it one more time, bud.
First you got an easy table and that was gone.
Well, yeah, but that was,
BS.
you would have liked that one because that was an easy table. And then remember the complement method? We're gonna do what?
Multiply the opposites.
Subtract your percentages from 100.
Yep, subtract your percentages from 100. So this should work out the same way. So we take 100 minus 20, 100 minus 10, and 100 minus 15, and get those numbers. So 80, 90, 85, and
Put them into decimal.
turn those into decimals. So we just move our decimal place and then multiply them together, right? So if you take 0.8 times 0.9 times 0.85, you should get the same answer.
0.612.
0.612.
So you got, does it matter which one you use?
No. Well, if it
But
says,
they value.
but I think in the test, I just let you decide. I think we made you do it in the quiz, didn't we? If I remember right, you had to follow the directions. But this one, you just get it right. You're gonna come up with the same answer. Okay? I don't know which one's easier. This one right here is usually easier to me. And then obviously the table's the easiest because you just have to find your combination.
But you can't use the table for everyone.
Right. So the table doesn't always work. That's why we have to have another method. Okay? And then you would use those percentages if they gave you a product or whatever. So then 19 through 21 is our markup and markdown. That's where we had a little trouble on the quiz. So let's read those carefully. 19, it says store carries women's suits in a $400 price line. Remember what we were talking about by price lines? That was just different versions of some product, right? So if we had TVs, remember we had the Samsung kind, the Vizios, and then we had the TLCs, right? So it's still a 60-inch TV, we're just different versions of it. The markup is 47% of the selling price. What is the highest amount the store may pay for suits to get the desired markup? So what are we gonna do in this one?
Take 400 divided by 0.53, because you take 100% minus 47%.
Okay, and what'd you get?
754.71.
No. So this is where we made the mistake. This is different than what you just did was in 20. Okay?
No.
When it says what rate of markup? Oh no.
Oh, I got 500
No.
I'm just guessing.
The markup is 47% of the selling price.
Yeah, so it's.
What is the highest amount the store may pay for suits to get the desired markup? So you're looking for a price that's lower than that. 212. So what'd you do, Big Boy?
400 times 0.47, you get 188, and you take 400 minus 188, you
Okay. So you could have done it the other way that Carson said. You could have used 0.53 and then you would have gotten your answer. So the biggest difference is when do you multiply and when do you divide, right? The one on the quiz that we all had problems with, you had to divide that number. Okay, so somebody get your quiz out and let's compare the wording between the one on the quiz and this one. So this one says, what is the highest amount the store may pay for suits to get the desired markup? What's number 2 say?
Retailer wants a markup of 70% of the selling price of the stainless steel thermos bottle. That costs $4.80. What is the bottle's selling price? What is the amount of markup?
The amount of markup, right? And what is the selling price? When they say the selling price, they're talking about what you're gonna sell it for. This one is talking about the selling price from the original buyer. Okay, so again, that's where it gets a little complicated about the perspective that you're talking about. So in this version, we're multiplying, in the other version, we're dividing. So in number 20, it says Multi-Sports sold a hockey jersey for $112. The cost of the jersey was $85. What rate of markup on cost did Multi-Sports earn on the jersey? No. The first thing that you gotta do is what?
Divide 85 by 112.
No.
Take
You gotta subtract the two numbers. You gotta take 112 minus 85 in this one. Okay? Then take that answer and divide it by which one? The original, right? Or the 112. So you get what? How much? 24? That's not what they got.
The original.
25.
Did you take it divided by
Is it
1?
31.7?
32%, yes.
So you take it from the 85 then.
So you go from
That's the original. The 112.
Oh yeah, the cost of the jersey was the original. Because Multi-Sports sold the hockey jersey for 112. So it's always the, wasn't it all, didn't we say when we were doing it's always the smaller one? You always divide by the smaller one. Okay? Or take it and divide by the smaller one. And then 21 is your discount again, right? At the end of the season, a ski sweater with a marked price of $140 was offered at a 60% discount. Right? So here's Johnson again, seeing the great deals, but he's gonna end up spending more money, right? Because he's buying 5 sweaters now because he thought he had a great deal. Which he does, but when he spends $56 on 5 sweaters, now he's over the one, but it's still a great deal, right? Yeah, but you got 5. Exactly. Okay? So you gotta be real careful with those wordings there. With the markup and markdown. 10.5. A research firm made 12,000, or mailed, so not made, mailed, 12,500 surveys to a company's shareholders. The number of valid surveys returned was 4,872. What was the response rate? What do I gotta do?
472 divided by 12.
Right, however many valid surveys we had divided by the grand total, right, is my response rate. Everybody good with that?
Huge gain. Huge gain.
Number 24. A 4-year-old company's sales last year were $3.1 million.
3.12.
Thank you. The average sales increase over the past 4 years is 32.5%. Based on that rate, project this year's sales. So what am I gonna do there?
You have to divide by.
3,120,000 times 0.325, and then you add that to the 3 million.
Perfect.
10-4.
Perfect. Everybody good? You need to see that math up there? So I'm taking 3.1 million times 0.325 and then adding it back to my original amount. Okay? 26. A hardware chain's total annual sales were estimated to be $5.2 million out of a total of $18 million in estimated sales of all hardware stores in the area. So again, this is my market, right? So we're talking about the hardware chains stores around Lamar's.
Hardware Hanks.
Hardware Hank, right? So Hardware Hank is making $5.2 million, and we're going all the way, or our circumference of the area gets Sioux City and Lamar's and Orange City involved. So in all of those markets, there's 18 million. So what is Hardware Hank percentage?
28.9.
28.9. I'm gonna take my 5.2 million divided by 18 million, right? And then just make sure you round to the right spot. And then last but not least, our advertisings. A weekly newspaper charges $82 a column inch and 1 column wide or width. What is the cost of an ad that runs 2 by 2? So if it's 2 by 2, how many 82s?
2.
Okay.
4.
But I had 2 or an inch this way and or 2 this way, right? So I really have how many of them?
4.
I really have 4 of them, right? So we would take our $82 times 4 and get a grand total of
$328.
$328.
Seems simple.
Does it?
Yeah.
Alright. So there's a couple of kind of tricky sections maybe. The markup, markdown section. Some of you had a little trouble with the one chart where you had to write it down. So just make sure you look over that chart. And then look at your series discounts, which one you would rather do. So you gotta be able to execute one of those to get that single equivalent.
Pretty sure it's simple choice there.
Okay? It is? Which one's simple?
On that right,
This one?
The right is
Maybe,
I like that one better.
You like this one better?
Yeah.
we have confirmed Kaylee's a maniac.
I can't remember it anymore.
That one I can remember.
Overcomplicated.
It does.
Alright, any other questions? Bunk?